Okay, well, it's time to return to this absolute beep storm, I suppose. Immortals Valiant. I'm not going to call them Los Angeles Valiant anymore. I'm going to call them Immortals Valiant because Valiant and Immortals, same thing, both trash orgs. Anyway, doesn't represent Los Angeles anymore because it's operating in China. So, a few days ago, they announced that the Valiant spot, not the Los Angeles spot, the Valiant spot, will be run by LGE in China for the 2021 season of the Overwatch League. Now, LGE used to run LG Huya, who used to be the academy team of the Chengdu Hunters and Chinese Contenders. They did very, very well back then, actually. They were the dominant team in China. And then Team CC came along and were like, hey, guys, yeah, Shanghai can do well in the Overwatch League, we can do well as well. So they kind of backed out of it, and now LG are going to be running the Valiant in the Asia region, or the East region, in 2021. Now, I'm sure LGE will actually do a pretty decent job. According to Halo Assaults, T1W was the first option. I would have actually preferred LGE over T1W, because T1W, they've been an okay team in China, but they've never been the top of the class, shall we say, whereas LGE definitely were. Now, the original thought was that with T1W probably taking it over, it will be a full Chinese roster. With LGE doing it now, it's probably still going to be a full Chinese roster. But hey, it's now going into March, and Los Angeles Valiant have a grand total of 0 players, 0 coaches, 0 managers. I said Los Angeles, I apologize. Immortals Valiant currently have 0 staff. Going well, isn't it, over there at Immortals? What do we say about this? Get your backside in gear, Immortals. Actually, in all fairness, it took you about 2 months to ditch the entire old roster, so I don't know what I'm expecting here. You have a month and a half until the Overwatch League starts, Valiant, and you don't have anyone official yet. You don't even have a manager. You've got to scrim, you've got to prepare, you've got to be ready for this season, and you're not going to be. Every single other team in the league is ready. Even Boston have a main support now. Even Boston have a main support. Every single one of those teams is scrimming. Every single one of those teams is preparing. Every single team in that East region is going to be ready come the 16th of April. Or is it the 17th? 16th of April. It's definitely the 16th of April. Los Angeles Immortals Valiant, there won't be, because you simply will not have the prep time compared to the other teams. You have done goofed. Oh, mind you, we already knew that already. Sorry, this is a really sarcastic video. If you hadn't noticed, I really don't like what Immortals did. I don't think anyone else does. Anyway, funny news is that on the rumour mill, the Valiant have been blacklisted in scrims by a few Overwatch League teams. One of those is the Gladiators. I can understand why the Gladiators are doing that, considering Immortals just kind of dumped on the Los Angeles, well, the second Los Angeles spot. It's not really nice, is it? I wouldn't be surprised that quite a few teams are blacklisting the Valiant after their actions. I would do. If I was controlling an Overwatch League team, I'd say blacklist the Valiant. I don't want to be associated or play against a team like that, to be quite honest, or a team run like that. It's pretty darn crap if you ask me. So I can understand why that's happening. Gladiators are obviously going to be they're going to be an obvious person to blacklist them in scrims, but according to rumours, it's not just the Gladiators. A lot of these teams are from the NA region that apparently blacklisted them. That makes sense, because, I mean, you can play on ping from the East region to West, and that will be happening during the season with the technology that the Overwatch League now has. So I expect there is some intercontinental scrims going on. Valiant probably aren't one of them. I wouldn't be surprised if the Valiant are struggling to find top-end scrim partners. I wouldn't be surprised, even if they are scrimming at the moment. Who bloody knows, to be quite honest. They can't scrim without a roster, although they probably do have a roster by now. They probably just haven't announced it. Just like they tried to not announce that they were getting rid of the old one until everyone already knew they were going to do it. and they tried to cover it up. You're going to do that this time, Immortals. Announce, everyone's going to say roster, and you're going to say, no, that's not our roster, and announce that very roster. You should keep to tradition. Anyway, enough of my sarcasm. The Valiant, in all seriousness, the one Valiant fan that's out there or whatever, you need to get moving. You are going to struggle to find scrim partners because some of the Overwatch League teams are blacklisting you. That means you're going to find scrim partners from Korean and Chinese contenders. Those guys, they're going to be going into their seasons. They're going to be competing before Overwatch League starts. You need to get moving. It cannot be expressed enough. And the rumours are pretty thin on the ground, although we can make assumptions on what we know. First of all, the going idea is that the Valiant, Immortals Valiant, will be a Chinese team with an all-Chinese roster. So we can go to Chinese contenders and look at what hasn't been picked up already, because Hangzhou Spark and Chengdu Hunters, funnily enough, started building their teams in November. Yeah, well, okay, I'll keep going with these jabs at the Valiant. Anyway, there are a good caliber of Chinese players that haven't been picked up so far, because there's only so many spots in the league, and, you know, NA teams are probably not going to be picking up that many Chinese-influenced players. So the current holders of Chinese contenders, not the Gauntlet, but the Chinese contenders season, are Flag Gaming. And actually 5 of the roster of Flag Gaming that won that contenders season did not get picked up into the Overwatch League. Now, the reason for this is Flag Gaming was a little bit of an outlier, because most of the Chinese contenders seasons have been dominated by Team CC. And Team CC have kind of had their roster picked apart 1987 moving up to the league alongside a lot of others from that team as well. So there is still some influence in Team CC that could come up, but a lot of it's been picked apart already. However, there are these 5 solid players from Flag Gaming who did win Chinese contenders for the second season last year that could get picked up. So this is Thor, Rem, 800, Seawave, and Shou Chang. Those players could be on a hit list for the Immortals Valiant. Now, it is assumptions. Like, I'm working off of what I know. And right now, there's more chance of pigs flying in space than there is information coming from the Immortals Valiant. So, we're working on assumptions here. Again, there were some from Team CC that didn't get picked up. Most notable name is Dia, so Dia could be a person that they might be looking at. Now, if it was T1W that was running the Valiant, then I would have gone for the fact that they might have picked up the roster of the one winner. But I somehow doubt that's going to happen now, although they might pick parts out of it if they can. I'm sure LGE are going to want to do quite well and try and prove a few people wrong after what's happened in this whole saga. Not that that's going to improve your brand reputation, Immortals. It's dead and never going to come back. But I guess they can live in hope. But there's a lot of talent in China. China has kind of really pushed forward recently. Mainly due to the influence that the Overwatch League has over there these days. It's booming in the Asia region, especially in China, and it's given rise to Team CC winning the Gauntlet over Korean teams now, which was kind of unthought of way back when China used to have its own meta, was a really weird region, and then they'd come to the other regions and be like, oh, balls, we're not that good. It's changed, and the Overwatch World Cup demonstrated that as well. So, providing, and who knows with Immortals Valiant, but providing they pick up a pretty decent roster from the Chinese contenders region, whether it's a mishmash of who, whatever, then they will probably be a decent team. They won't be Chengdu Hunters level, that's for sure, because Chengdu Hunters have got pretty much the best talent in China. Now, the problem is, I will circle back to my point, Immortals, you are taking too long, because, again, we are a month and a half away from the start of the Overwatch League season 2021, and you still don't have a roster. If you're going to mishmash a roster, then that roster will take time to settle. This is why I liked what Dallas Fuel did, because although they picked up a lot of their parts from the Paris Eternal, they did have other parts to mash into it. Parts like Jexer, parts like Fearless. And it gave them a lot of time to do that. Dallas Fuel, one of the first teams, it's not the first team to finish their entire roster. And I thought it was very impressive handling from the Fuel, actually, and envious. However, this is Immortals we're talking about, so inevitably they'll mess it up somehow. So, if they mishmash a roster together, it is going to be a rough season. It is going to be a hell of a rough season, especially in the East region. You will be the worst team there, unless you pick up some, unless you do something crazy, like pick up some of the talent that's already in the league, which is not going to happen. Let's be honest, who is going to transfer from another team in the Overwatch League to the Immortals Valiant? They would be very silly, unless you're offering them £1 billion per year. Like, it's not going to happen. So, you're stuck with the contender's talent that you're going to look at, and that's where it's at. It is not looking good, and to be quite honest, you deserve it, Immortals. You absolutely deserve it. I really don't know what was running through their heads. Mind you, this is Immortals. Immortals are known for poor handling of things. Ah, this has been such a sarcastic and chibby video at the Valiant, but I'm sorry, they deserve it. They deserve it. I would not be surprised if a lot of people will put the Valiant as 20th place in their rankings. I certainly will be, probably regardless of their roster, unless they somehow pick up the San Francisco shot, which is not going to happen. So, it is rough for a lot of these teams, and I mean, the only upside is that we're going to see probably completely new people in the league, and they're going to have a chance to prove themselves, and then probably move on from the Valiant next year and go to someone like Chengdu or Shanghai, like Molly did. He proved himself at the Chengdu Hunters and then got basically promoted to the Shanghai Dragons. So it could something like that could happen. But Valiant, you are now forever going to be treated as a stepping stone, a bit like Vancouver. Look at Shockwave. He's a perfect example. Used Vancouver as a stepping stone to go to something greater, i.e. the Philadelphia Fusion. Valiant, you are going to be the same, except worse, because what you did to your players was worse than what Vancouver did, in my opinion. And I will never, I refuse to call you the LA Valiant anymore. You are the Immortals Valiant. Valiant. Actually, that's really appropriate because they only think about themselves. Anyway, that is where I'm going to leave it for this video. It's an interesting one. The team previews are coming up very, very soon. I mean, Immortals, you'll have one eventually when you have a roster. I'm sorry, I said I'd stop the jibes. The socials are linked in the video description. We will be continuing with our content as always. I've got more stuff coming up very soon. But for now, thank you guys so much for this video. If you'd like to give a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.